Welcome everybody, and today we're taking a look at a brand new release from Indicator, and it is the Pemini organisation box set. So it features 3 films from the Pemini organisation, who were a short-lived independent film studio who unfortunately only lasted a few years, but they did manage to knock out a few films before their ultimate demise. But unfortunately, after the films were released theatrically, they were lost to the vaults of time, basically, because they've never had a video release until now. They didn't have a VHS release or a DVD release, but they have finally been given the Blu-ray treatment via 4K scans. And yeah, this is a real treat. I took a big gamble on this because obviously I'd never heard of them. Most people hadn't heard of them, to be honest, and there were no real reviews to really look at and, try and get a sense of what they were going to be like. Even getting the running times and the cast and the whole premise of each of the films was difficult to get a hold of before Indicator obviously showed off this release. So yeah, really glad they've done such a thing like this, because yeah, it's always nice to see lost films finally get the proper treatment and exposure that they deserve, quite frankly. So yeah, the first of the films is Hunted from 1972. Clocks in at 41 minutes long. Stars Edward Woodward, who's I'm most well known for in The Wicker Man, but he was also in The Equalizer in the 80s, the TV series. And yeah, also stars June Ritchie, who I've not seen anything from before. And yeah, it's about a man who holds a real estate agent hostage in an office and threatens to shoot people from the window. And it's just the 2 characters in that room for most of the running time. There's a few shots of the streets and whatever, looking at some people in the street beforehand, but it is mostly in that one room. And yeah, it is sure it is somewhat constrained by its low budget, because they didn't really spend any money on this. I don't even think they paid the actors. And yeah, it's a singular not only its singular location, but also its short running time, so it's a little bit constrained in those regards. But both of the cast are great. They really work off one another really well. The script is well written, it is engrossing, well paced, uses its singular location effectively, and has plenty of tension throughout. So yeah, really well done. And yeah, does show the potential that the Pemini organisation would have to go on. And yeah, by the way, all 3 of these were directed by the same person, Peter Crane. And yeah, all of them were written by Michael Sloan as well. And Michael Sloan went on to work with Edward Woodward in The Equalizer as well. It was because of the Michael Sloan that Edward Woodward got the role of The Equalizer in the 80s, because he recommended him to, I think CBS was the television studio that released that. So yeah, really good start to the box set with that film. But it gets even better with the second film, released in 1973, Assassin. Clocks in at 83 minutes long. Stars Ian Hendry, who was also in the likes of Get Carter, Theatre of Blood, Tales from the Crypt, Journey to the Far Side of the Sun, and The Hill. So a nice wide variety of films there. You got horror, you got World War II action film, you got gritty drama, and yeah, sci-fi as well. And it also stars Edward Judd, who was also in The Vault of Horror, another Amicus Productions anthology film like Tales from the Crypt, as well as The Day the Earth Caught Fire and First Men in the Moon, a Ray Harryhausen sci-fi effort there. And yeah, it's about the staged assassination of an air ministry official who was suspected of leaking secrets. So yeah, this is somewhat like a spy thriller in some regards, but then it's also got hints of conspiracy thriller from the 70s, although it's entirely set in London. And yeah, it's got that really good British flavour to it going on with it. And both of the 2 leads are really rather good. The rest of the cast is great. The pacing suits its methodical and character-driven plot. So if you're after something that's properly exciting and constantly keeping things moving, it's not quite that, but then I think the pacing works in its favour in terms of the way that the script is written and the narrative is laid out. It's got plenty of palpable tension, a good score, and a engrossing plot. It's got excellent editing, and it switches between the present and past instance that our lead was involved in, where a job went quite wrong. And yeah, it's also got well done cinematography, and the general tone suited me right down to the ground. So yeah, it's really good, and it's got a cracking ending as well in terms of the tension that's going on with it. So yeah, it's really well done. This is the one that has the artwork for the DVD cover as well. You can swap it round to have, I think it's Moments, which is the third film we're going to be looking at. But yeah, I like the art cover on that plenty. And speaking of Moments, that is the third and final film in this collection from 1974, clocking in at 92 minutes long, so it's the longest film in the box set. Stars Keith Michelle, who I've not seen anything from, unfortunately, and Angahara Reese. I get her name wrong all the time. Know of a couple of things she's been in, but not seen anything myself. She was in Hands of the Ripper, which was a Hammer horror film, and she was in the early 70s Leonard Nimoy-led film Baffled, which I've not seen, but I've heard some weird things about. But yeah, this is about a depressed middle-aged man who contemplates suicide while visiting a hotel resort where he spent many happy moments with his parents in his youth. He meets a woman by chance and falls for her. Or does he? And yeah, this third and final film from the Pemini organisation isn't quite as strong as the previous effort, but it is still on the strength of its thematic weight and character-based plot. Really rather good, and yeah, it's engrossing throughout. And even though the ending is a little bit ambiguous, you can certainly see where they were going with it if you think about it enough. And yeah, after I'd watched it and thought about it, yeah, I did get the ending in terms of what it was trying to go for. Or at least I hope I was getting what it was going for. And yeah, the two leads are also really rather good together, especially due to them both having a great deal of chemistry. It is well paced, the score is well done, the cinematography is on point, and I like the out of season seaside resort setting because it's set in this really big hotel, which is, you know, really Art Deco kind of style, and it's, yeah, really rather good setting going for it. So yeah, this is a fantastic release, to be honest, in not just in terms of what it has on the discs. Hunted and Assassin are on the first disc and Moments is on the second, but also in terms of the physical releases it comes with. So you get several art cards, which is nice to see. Indicator really haven't done that many in the way of art cards before, but it's really nice to see that they're doing it. So that's from Assassin. There's our lead character there, played by Ian Hendry. Then that's from Moments. Oh no, that's actually from Assassin as well. I forgot she was a character in that. Then we got Hunted with Edward Woodward with his big ass shotgun. Then we've got Moments with Keith Michelle there on the right, and then Moments again. So yeah, really nicely done art cards there. Really thick paper. Don't feel like they're gonna tear or anything like that. And yeah, a nice little memento to the release overall. And then you get a really nice book with this as well. So there's Ian Hendry, and yeah, not sure which character that one was, but that's fine. And yeah, massive amount of write-ups in this. You've got an introduction to the Pemini organisation, the birth of the Pemini organisation by Peter Crane, the director himself, which is from this year. Then you've got talking about the films itself. So you've got Hunted, then the making of Hunted by Peter Crane, the cast of Hunted, Assassin, the making of Assassin by Peter Crane, the cast of Assassin, Moments, the making of Moments by Peter Crane, the cast of Moments, the end of the Pemini organisation, how it came to close, Flying Stuntman, British style by Anne McHardy, then In Search of Lebanon, which is one of the extras on one of the discs, then about the restorations, about the presentations, and then indicator of credit. So I do have to say that in terms of the way that these have been presented, in terms of the restoration, it is overall really rather good, and I'll explain why by reading this from Indicator themselves. So Hunted and Assassin and Moments were scanned, graded and restored at Final Frame Post London between October 2019 and March 2022. So nearly 3 years of work there, using the only surviving 35mm film elements, a set of original distribution prints preserved at the BFI National Archive. The condition of these rare and unique prints were greatly compromised, with each exhibiting a range of significant problems, including missing or torn frames, continuous surface scratches, irregular abrasions, heavy dirt, frame warps, shrinkage, adhesive residue, creasing, split perforations, dye stains, and oil spots. The scale of the damage meant that after each element had been scanned at 4K, an extensive amount of painstaking restoration work was required, and a combination of MTI and Nucoda DVO image processing tools were used to remove the many thousands of instances of dirt, reduce or eliminate scratches and other imperfections, as well as repair damaged frames and correct geometric irregularities. No grain management, this is a crucial part for me. No grain management, edge enhancement, or sharpening tools were employed to artificially alter the image. So that's a crucial point for me. And lastly, during the search for original film elements, it was discovered that Pemini co-founders Peter Crane and Michael Sloan each held old standard transfers of the films in their personal archives. And since each of the film elements contained destructive jump cuts and truncated dialogue caused by missing frames, it was necessary to use material from these SD transfers as a means to fill these gaps. As a result, there are brief shifts in quality at times in all three restorations. Now, I have to say, I was worried when reading that when I bought this, because I do go for the book quite a fair bit before watching the films, and but I have to say, the drop in quality is very, very brief. It was about 40 seconds worth of runtime for the first film, and even less for the other two, which, considering they're twice the length, even more, is really remarkable that for the most part these were able to be restored to the highest quality possible. So really, really impressed by Indicator for what they've done with this. Nearly 3 years of work, and yet they're only selling this at £25 a pop, which is, for 3 films and all of that work, is really, really well done. And you get your booklet, you get your art cards, get your reversible sleeve, which I think I'll try and show you. I'll get the discs out themselves. So the fact that they've been able to find all of this stuff and do it in the manner they have, there's the moment, so you can swap around the cover if you so wish. The fact they've been able to find all of this stuff and also get in contact with the people that worked on it as well. These films were 50 years ago now, and even the director was only 21 when he started making these films, so he's in his 70s now. And they've also been able to talk with Michael Sloan. They've also been able to talk with one of the other people that were involved in the Pemini organisation. Let me try and get his name for you. Nigel Hodson, which is where the name comes from, by the way. Peter, they take the first 2 letters of his name. Michael, the first 2 letters of his. And Nigel, the first 2 letters of his. Pemini, which I think is clever. And they were able to just get into contact with everyone that is pretty much still alive. Because obviously some of these actors are no longer with us, Ian Hendry, Edward Woodward, for instance. But the amount of extras on this is just ridiculous. So you've got a bunch of documentary aspects. You've got biographers. Pretty much everything that is on this release as extras is from this year. So you've got a huge amount of extras to go with it. And you've also got a nice hard box cover to go with it as well. So and I like the artwork that they've got going on there as well. The Pemini organisation weirdly sounds like a conspiracy thriller title from the 70s as well, to be honest. Like 3 Days of Condor or something. But still, fantastic release. And to finally get these on a home video format after never being given such a thing in the 50 years they've been around is quite remarkable. And just goes to show that these kind of releases do need to be given support. I know some people won't want to buy these because they might never have heard of them before. But there are 6,000 versions of this box set out there, and I got 1,149 version of that. So, do highly recommend getting this if you can. Although I do understandably get that it's a bit of a gamble considering so little information is out there about these. But hopefully I've given you some information on these films to help you decide whether you not want to get them or not. I personally highly recommend them. I give Hunted 3.5 stars, Assassin 4.5 stars, and Moments 4 stars, all out of 5. So they're my ratings for them, and easily one of my favourite releases of this year, quite frankly. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.